Hi everyone, Rini here, and welcome to my channel. So another very stagnant week for Bitcoin. Unfortunately, for the rest of the altcoin space, our downside targets continue. So we're going to revisit Illuvium today because as I said in my last video, so one of the things to note moving forward is where could we potentially go from here? The key thing to note is this particular price level of around $188 should hold, because if it doesn't hold, there is a giant chasm from here all the way to the 2, which is around $100 or $108 right here. And there you go. So let's dive into the charts to see where the next steps would be for Illuvium. So what I have here is I have the chart of Illuvium now, and over the past week, we had a very, very painful candle right here. When we overlaid the Fibonacci that we did in the last video, I did have to retrace a little bit because the Fibonacci structures before weren't as accurate as now. Where are we now? We are currently sitting at $115 right here. But when you look at the overall macro structure, because we were not able to hold this particular price level of around 192 or 193, this 1.618 right here, look at the giant chasm that it had to fill up in order to meet the next destination. That, my friends, is not arbitrary. Because in trading and investing, when you have price discovery where the price does not have any prior history, when it's listed in major exchanges, or when the public now has equal access to the same information, it tends to follow Fibonacci structures. So right now, where are we? As said in the previous video, we are in the middle of a 5-wave Elliott wave structure, but to the downside. So the hope that we have is this is the end of the wave 3, where we bounce off from here, have a relief rally somewhere, but eventually still end up in a destination somewhere. Now that Illuvium, unfortunately, has already been here to the 2, and Bitcoin still looks like it's going to be weak, a relief rally may actually not come. Instead of a 5-wave structure, it will be very messy from a price action perspective. Then our downside targets that we've identified in the last video really still apply in this particular situation. Do expect then that the next target would be the $75 range right here if we break this particular structure. However, one thing to note is we do have to be really patient here if you're looking for an entry point. Just because it takes some time to get to these destinations, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. For example, when we did the last video in Illuvium, it was actually 2 weeks ago. So it appeared that I was wrong because we just had a relief candle right here. But the week after, unfortunately, we have now since filled up this chasm right here. So don't be surprised if we have some bounces right here where you still crab sideways, but pay attention to the $111 range right here. If we break this, then the next range would be 75. So if you're planning to come into Illuvium, or if you've been an Illuvium investor for a long time, what do you do now? The key thing to understand here is we have to know where Bitcoin is within the context of our targets. For example, this 111 or this 110 price target right here, unfortunately coincided with Bitcoin continuing to be in a downward trend with no signs of letting up at the moment given the macro environment. If that's the case, then all of these downside targets are a matter of patience. Now that you know the price targets to the downside, then it's up to you to plan an appropriate strategy moving forward. Depending on your risk level, how low are you willing to go in order to start DCAing into this particular project, for example. If you are fairly conservative, then you wait for Bitcoin's bottom to really kick in before you plan an entry for certain altcoins. Or you could also aim for the recovery. Because as you know, remember, we are currently most likely going to be in a 5-wave structure right here. Even if wave 3, for example, goes all the way here, the key thing is you have to look for a relief rally on a weekly time frame, and then the final burst down. Like for example, it ends up around here. When the recovery starts, you will have an ABC like that. If the structures look like what we have mapped out here, then you plan your entries accordingly, for example. Either way, there are a lot of options. But what's important to understand here is we have finally triple confirmed that we are currently operating under a reverse Fibonacci for Illuvium. That makes it easier for any one of you who are watching this and are planning your entries accordingly. Yo, before you go, like this video, subscribe, and share this video to your friends. Thank you very much and have a good day.